Alright, welcome to a new series of Planetbase. Planetbase is a city building game, or colony building game, based around a sci-fi, kind of like a Mars-like planet, or set of planets, where you have a bunch of colonists. You start with a small group of colonists, 2 robots, depending on your difficulty level, and which planet you choose, of course. And then it is up to you to survive for as long as possible, or try to get as much of the challenges and stuff like done before the end of the game. There's no end of the game. There's basically, you can just keep on building until the entire planet or the region that you're in is full, which is also good. So let's get this started. We have to start with a new game. We don't want to play the tutorial. No. And we want to play a Class D accessible planet. We have a challenging, overwhelming, and suicide. But as you can see, we haven't unlocked these 3 planets yet because we haven't unlocked the accessible one. So this is a new game for me. I've seen people play it before, so I know what is going to happen, what's going to come. And I also know a little bit about what I have to do. So it's not totally new, but we'll see. Pardon me. Let's get this party on a roll. So the first thing we do is we select the planet. So as this is a Class D planet, we have a slightly easier world to work with. We have a high amount of light. This planet does have an atmosphere, so that means that we can also use turbines, which we are going to be using quite a lot often in this level. We have a high risk of sandstorms. Now, I'm not quite sure exactly what damage a sandstorm does. Does it damage buildings? I think it should damage buildings. I'm not quite sure. I didn't get that far into the details. Meteor risk is low, so that means that if a meteor hits one of my buildings and stuff, chances of that happening is small. That's great. That means that we can definitely keep our colony safe. But I do believe there are some tools or buildings that we can use to protect our colony over time. So let's give it a base name. Let's see. We want to keep it Station Alpha. So how far can we go? Okay, we can do 2 additional more characters. That's fine. Station Alpha is fine. So Station Alpha is the colony name that we're going to give this. Let's give it a start, shall we? Let's see. All right, it's a loading screen. It's a pretty planet. Okay, we can click anything. When placing opponents, you can shift click to place multiple ones of the same type. I'm not sure if we want to do that, but okay. So this is the screen animation. We can't click this out. We can't press escape or anything. This is where we land. We can see there's a bunch of really big boulders over here and there. A bit of space. So here come our colonists. We have a blue character. I'm not sure exactly what the blue character does. Green, I think a green is a biologist. So we have 2 biologists. I think yellow is an engineer, and red is, what is red again? Doctor? So let's see, what do we have available? F2, we have 3 workers, 2 biologists, 1 engineer, and 1 medic. Okay, that's good. It means that we have a medic. That's excellent. We also need a spot to start constructing. We want to be close to a hill, or at least going towards a hill. So this is a reasonably good sized hill. So what we're going to do is we're going to place down our airlock. Not the airlock. We start with a CO2 production facility. We do it a little bit further away from the mountain hill here, but we do try to keep it as close as possible. Build an airlock. Let's see that. Do we want that? No, we don't. I think we want it a bit further away. Not too far, of course. I think this is good. So we want to keep this hill available close by for when we build our next thing. This is the mine. We want that as soon as possible. So let's make a solar panel here, and let's give it also a reasonably sized capacitor. This is like a battery, and we want to also, of course, give it some water. Now we need water for several things, mostly for oxygen. It doesn't really matter what size it is. We want to keep it small. Now I don't want to continue building into the other buildings yet. I need to get the primary buildings first. The facilities and stuff like that come later, but the infrastructure for energy and for water needs to come first. So you have to build this these three things as soon as possible. So we want also quite a large, I think this is the largest? Yeah, this is the largest. Quite a large wind turbine. We need that because eventually the sun is going to set. So we need this power collector started. So we get a whole bunch of hints here that the oxygen generator needs water. We're going to be building this, the water extractor, as soon as possible. Now this is a bit of a stretch. It's quite dangerous to have everything on one line. If anything falls out, if we get an asteroid strike on, for instance, the oxygen generator or even the power collector, the entire base will go down. So we're going to keep getting these alerts until we have our water extractor built. So they want to do that as soon as possible, because it won't be able to generate any oxygen until we have power. I mean water. So that's now finally streaming to our oxygen generator. So you can see that the label for the warning is going from red to yellow. That means it's actually producing oxygen. So now it's at 10%, 11%. It should get to a minimum of 16%, and 16% is the minimum amount of oxygen that we need to keep our colony going. That will keep everybody safe and secure. So now we have a windmill. This is good. That means that we can finally start producing oxygen, generating energy in the night. So with that done, this needs to be put there. This is basically useless. It's turning, but it's not connected to our power supply infrastructure, so it's basically just generating for nothing. But this little droid boy here is going to come, and this is a constructor bot. He's going to put this down and give us everything we need. Now let's just remove our colony building. And now, what we want to do as soon as possible is put down a cantina. Now a cantina is a building, it's a vital building. We need that for two things. Our colonists eat and drink from this place. And we also need to start producing some food as soon as possible. We need to have a reasonably sized biome. Now the biome is necessary for producing everything. Oh look, we have our power collectors at full, almost at full. That's good. That means that we can survive the night. So let's see. He's waving a bit to us. Hello. It'd be nice if we could actually name him. Sadly, nothing that is done. This is going to be our power infrastructure site. So we want to connect as many of these things as possible to our main colony facility, but we want to extend the colony in this direction. So we have a lot of space over there. So we might have to build over in this direction, and then we can't build on these rocks and boulders. So we have to try and weave our way through these boulders so we can get to more open spots. So it's going to happen tonight. So it's getting dark, but luckily we already have the basics set up. None of our colonists are in need of anything yet. You can see they're getting a little bit tired, a little bit thirsty. And as soon as the canteen is built, we'll build the very first thing that they need, which is water. That's their primary need, one of the primary needs, next to oxygen. If you don't give them water, they will die. Also, try and keep the medic alive for as long as possible. So, our canteen is ready. So, it's also an extra site that needs oxygen, so it's going to lower the capacity of oxygen for a little while until everybody gets down. So, let's build a fountain. So, a fountain is what gives our people water. They can drink from. Now I don't want to use up all of our very limited resources, plastic and metal. As you can see up here we have 3 vital resources. That's food, iron and plastic. Cellulose is used for plastic, but anyways, that's something I'll tell you later. These 3 things are vital. We need to keep them alive, keep them reasonably supplied. That means that our colony is strengthened, is working, is actually surviving. But if we run out of all these 3 things, people will start dying. Yes, I know that the structures are low on oxygen. That's fine. So we want to build some plants. The plants will provide us with food. So it's a very vegetarian colony. So let's see, we need a pea pad and we need a rice pad. Now these guys here are, they all provide 1 in plastic or starch. And they can be used, they can produce food and plastic. Well, starch for plastic, but we don't have a production facility yet, so that's going to be something we're going to be building next. These on the other hand, tomato pads, provide only food. Now we need that as well, so we can get that done. We also have, of course, some other things that we can build, like trees for oxygen. They don't provide much oxygen, but they give a relaxing. They actually make your colonists happy. So you want to keep that done. Right, so you can see we're doing really well on the energy side. It's great. So now we can actually start producing something that we need really badly. And we need a mine as soon as possible. The mine is a bit of a problem. The mine provides us with metal. It's going to be mined from this mound here, from the center of the world, whatever. It doesn't really matter how many mines you place. The amount of energy, iron that comes out of the ground doesn't decrease. You can always get iron out of the ground. But at the same time, the mine is also a hazard site. It's an industrial site, and that means it's dangerous. So people that work there will get hurt. And that means that eventually our mine is going to start hurting people, and people are going to get damaged or getting a broken leg and that kind of thing. That's going to cause a problem. So I did something really bad here. This is a bit inefficient. Let me just remove that. You can always remove something over time. We want to make a processing plant. We want to keep it over here. So the thing is that it's just, you can't place it close to the mine entrance. That would be nice, but sadly enough we'll have to do it like this. So let's see, we have enough water. We're using producing 2.7 liters of water, and we're using 2.25 liters of water. So I'm guessing it's liters. I'm not sure. This fluctuates a lot, and if you want to reduce the fluctuation, you can of course always put down a water tank. So you have it's a little capture device and so on. A building. We don't need that yet. We reached survival. Survival means our colony is actually functioning, even though on a primitive basis. That means that we actually survived the first few nights. We're going to survive the first few nights. We'll be fine. Let's see. All right. Next thing we need, as soon as we build up our processing plant and the mine, is something that's very, very important. Is a sick bay. Now, a sick bay is a dead end. Let's go hook it up to that. Sick bay basically heals our colonists. Oh, this guy's hungry. As you can see, his threshold for hunger is quite low at the moment. So he needs to go and eat something. So he's grabbing himself a meal. What he has in his hand is a ready-to-go meal. He just has to put that in our... Let's remove the roof here. He has to put that in our meal maker. And that will produce, over time, a warm, hearty meal for him. So he can eat and he'll be happy. So there he goes. Now you can see her eating there, nice and calm. Her meal, we can't... Can we see it closer up? No, we don't have any cameras in there yet. So as soon as we get cameras, we can check it out. We don't have those yet. We need that. As soon as we get a control room, we can actually start looking into that. All right, this is good. We still have 16 iron and 18 bioplastic, which is great. And we're also going to be producing more materials soon. We have how many people in the mine? Nobody in the mine. Oh, we have one engineer in the mine. It's work by Steve Norton. The sick bay is ready. So as soon as we get any kind of damaged personnel, they can come to sick bay immediately and start using the facilities. But we don't need it yet, so let's turn it off. We do need a bed though. Excellent. Alright, so we have a sick bay facility set up so that anybody who gets hurt in the mine can get fixed up by the medic over here. Now we don't have a contingency yet for if the medic gets sick. This is our medic. He needs sleep, so let's put down a bedroom. We want to put down this dorm as soon as possible. The only problem is that the dorm doesn't make people happy, but they do get the rest and so on that they want. So we want to replace the dorm as soon as possible with a private facility, private rooms. That's this one here. That's a cabin, but it requires a dorm first. So we're gonna build a dorm, and then we're gonna remove the dorm. It's gonna waste a little bit of iron and plastic, but it'll be fine. So as soon as we recycle the dorm, we have that plastic and stuff right back. That will give us the option to go ahead and put down a cabin. And cabin actually provides a little bit better capacity for our people. That makes them a bit happier, which we want. We want happy people and not sad people. So let's see. We have our processing plant ready. In the processing plant, we can build two things. We can do a bioplastic processor or a metal processor. Now we have a bunch of bioplastic, but we don't have that many producing plants yet, so there's no need or no use to build a bioplastic producer yet. So instead we'll do a processor, metal processor. We can build 4 things here, so eventually we want to do 2 of each in this facility, this building. Alright, so we will have quite soon. Yes, there we go. That's right. Then we have our dorm. That gives us the option to build a cabin. And a cabin, just like the dorm or the a sick bay, is a dead-end facility. That means we can't actually connect anything to it. This is a last line building. That means that it's the end of the line for any kind of a construction. So you don't want to use that if you get into a bit of a bind or a situation where you get into a like this, the kind of places, for instance, you can't get out. Don't put a last line building there, then you won't have anywhere else to go. That'll be the end of the line for you. And you need to get the line going, because that's part of the challenge. So let's put down a dorm here. And as soon as this thing is built, we can remove the dorm, and then we will just build cabins only. Cabins give 2 things. Namely, they keep your people happy. They also rest better. And basically they just reduce stress for people. So that means they have a little private bedroom, and their happiness level, which is this morale, actually goes up, which is what we want. And sleepy people and really sad people, or people with very low morale, don't work or get hurt more often. We don't want that. So this is our engineer. We need to keep him alive. We don't have many engineers, and you shouldn't have that many engineers, but the thing is that you need engineers to build buildings and to put down more materials. Okay, we are finally starting to actually use some of our power in our power collector, because you can see that we are producing 18 and we're consuming 24. So that means that we are in a negative consuming, negative producing moment. We're getting there to a... Okay, now we're producing more thanks to our windmill. We're not, because it's night, we don't actually have any solar power. So a solar power plant doesn't actually produce any electricity at night, but our windmill, on the other hand, is. This is great. So let's see. We need to get this thing built so we can put down beds and these people can get some sleep, because they are getting close to the red line. If they get into the red line, they stop working, or they just fall asleep somewhere over here, and then their morale goes down. And we want to keep their morale. We want to keep their morale up as much as possible. So that's a meteorite. It just came down right over here. It's far away from our colony, which is good. But We want to stop that from happening more often. So the cabin is built. Excellent. Now we need to start. We need to make this the connection. That means that people can actually move to the cabin, and then we need to put down some beds. So we can put down in this small cabin only like 5 beds. So we're gonna put down 4 or 3. 3 should be fine. This means a bit more, 1 more than I usually do, but yeah, it's fine. Okay, we are still in the green with our energy production. That's good. We want to keep it in the green. As soon as this power collector runs out at night and stuff, we will start producing less and less energy, and then eventually the entire plant will just shut down. And you want to try and avoid that as much as possible. Let's see, can we actually build a landing pad yet? Yes, we can. We have 4. We only have 9 in metal. But we do have a metal producing producer here. That's good. So you can see that my colonists have gone from yellow sleeping time to orange, meaning that they are now desperately in need of some sleep. This woman here, Gabriel Adam, is in need of some water, so we need to get her inside and get her something to drink. Now we only have 1 airlock at the moment. We want to have as many airlocks as possible in the future. Well, not too many, and we will see why eventually, because there's nothing you can do about that. They will come. They will come, and they will try and kill everybody. That's just a fact of life here. So I'll tell you about that when they get here. Now you can see that we also have a symbol, an icon above our food producing plants. Yeah, these are plants. That means that they are not being repaired by our biologists. Now that is because they're not yeah, see, their morale is going down, so they're not happy yet. As they sleep in the cabin, the morale should go up. So there you go, it's going up slowly, slowly. The more they sleep, the better. So we want to keep that morale up as high as possible. So let's give them another 2 more beds. 2 more beds. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 beds. And we have 7 colonists. So they're going to have to shift. They'll sleep in shifts. Should be fine. Oh, we also have a little repair symbol over our constructor bot. Means that he also needs some help. Darn it. You can see that we didn't provide our colonists with enough beds, so they're all lying on the ground. Well, we worked as fast as we could. We just didn't work that well. Sad enough. So this person here is very unhappy. But at least he's getting some sleep. Oh, we just saw a asteroid crash over there. And our worker Gabriel, he is also very unhappy. But our 2 colonists who have been sleeping in the cabin are happy, and they are rested, which is great. That means that they're going to be fully rested when they get out of that. So we have some starch, 2 bulbs of starch. That's great. That means we can actually put down a processing plant here. So for plastic, for bioplastic, that's going to produce more bioplastic over time and give us more materials to build with. We need materials to build with, otherwise eventually we will run out of building materials, and then our colonies will start to die. But luckily, if you get the basics up, the bioplastics and the metal processing stuff, it just takes a little bit more time, but eventually you will have the materials needed to build more facilities, and that will keep your colony from dying. Somebody in here has got a little thirsty, and he says, wake up and get something to drink. But somebody's sleeping in front of the fountain. Our engineer and there's a worker over there. They should go to bed. So we have no more need for this, but we can't remove it because there's a worker sleeping in the middle of our hallway here. And if I remove this, the connection will also go, and he'll be stuck in the open. He won't die. He'll instantly jump into his Enviro suit, so that'll be fine. But it's just not very friendly, I think. Finally, we have some ore, some iron ore. That means that we finally have the option of producing some metal. But in order to produce some metal, we need workers. And we don't have that many workers. We have, let's see, how many workers do we have? We have 3 workers. So the status of our colony is at the moment very poor. And the prestige is at 29. I'll tell you more about the prestige later, but it's not very important. You can skip that for now. The status of our colony is very poor, meaning that there's more people complaining about the colony than there are people happy about the colony. That's a bad thing. So we need to get everybody happy. So they need to sleep in their beds as soon as possible and get happier. If we keep the morale high and the complaints down low, the status of our colony will improve, and with the status of our colony, if it's improved, that means that more colonists will want to come to our colony over time, which is great. Now we have a pea pad over here that's not doing very well, and our biologist is not very happy. So I need this to be repaired, guys. Come on, can you guys fix it, please? I mean, we need more colonists, and in order to get more colonists, we need to get a landing pad, and a landing pad is something that we haven't really used yet. So let's connect that to our mine shaft. We have reached self-sufficiency. Excellent. This isn't technically very difficult to do. Self-sufficiency comes when you are basically able to produce everything that you need, primary materials and so on, and food in your colony, and keep your colonists alive. Not necessarily happy, but alive. So this guy here, for instance, he's very sad. That's because he didn't sleep in the cabin, he slept on the ground. Oh, look, we have a worker here producing iron. He's also very sad. That will change eventually. As we get more and more colonists, then we'll get more options and more workers. And with more workers means that we'd be able to build more facilities, and we want to build this, the multi-dome. The multi-dome gives you the option of producing happy-making facilities, so like a treadmill, gym, those kind of things. With that basically makes our personnel over here reduce their unhappiness, make them happy, basically. So this is not an adult game. This is a child-friendly game, meaning that you can't make, like, for instance, I don't know, a whorehouse or a liquor store. Well, we can do a liquor store eventually. So, anyways, we have the dorm is available and free. We can now recycle this. Let's recycle that. Yes, please. So you can see that it's going to give us back 2 iron and 2 plastic, which is great. But the total cost of it was 3 iron and 3 plastic, because the connector also requires an iron and a plastic box. So we lost that. If you remove connectors, then you simply you can't recycle that material. You can't recycle connectors. You just lose the materials you got there. So you should try and avoid recycling buildings with lots of connectors, because then you lose a whole bunch of your resources, and that they don't come back. Alright, we have a landing pad. So now we have landing permissions. So let's go and see what our landing permissions are. We want to have colonists and colonists only, and we want, let's see, we need workers and biologists. So let's go 50-50. So we have 1 medic and we have 1 engineer. The engineer isn't vital at the moment because we still have this robot, but he will become vital as soon as the robot breaks down, and it will break down. We don't need guards yet. Those are for later, and I will tell you why once that happens. But we do need a medic as soon as possible. But right now, this very early stage, we need more more workers, more biologists to produce food for us. As you can see, we might be producing food, vegetables, but let's see if we can give you a graph. So as you can see there, we are producing more food, but we are not producing. We are not keeping up with the demand, so it's going down. All of it's going down. So that's not good. So we need to have more food, and in order to produce more food, we need more people to make these to work on those thingies. Trouble is that our plant at the moment, our colony status is very poor, so nobody will want to come and live here. So we need to improve our colony status by getting these people happy. So, for instance, here our engineer who's working on our robot, he needs to go to bed in our beautiful little cabin, and if once he's done that, he should be a little bit happier. But that's something that's very difficult to avoid in the very beginning of the game. Onion pad is being built. All right. We have nobody has got a broken leg. This is great. We have 2 starch, so we don't necessarily need the sick bay yet. The sick bay. I mean, we don't need sick bay yet, but we might need to eventually start working towards making more. Yeah, we need to maybe start working towards making more medical supplies. But one thing that we do need are spares. Spares will come. They will be very important as we get our mining colony up and running. Let's see. We need 2 new buildings. We need the factory, and we need the lab. The lab produces medicine, and the factory produces spares. But the spares take up metal. And as you can see, while they're working on the machines here, producing the metal for us, nobody is working. Oh, maybe one person is working in the mine. This is always a delicate balance, because we only have 3 workers. So we need a worker per machine, and you need to have happy workers to work on a machine. Sad workers will not work on a machine. Oh look, he went to bed, finally. That's the worker that went to sleep. So his morale is going to go up. And then finally, eventually, we will start to get our status up from poor to good or excellent. If we want it at excellent, excellent means that when a colony ship comes, it'll be packed to the wraps, or basically it'll be packed full of colonists, because as many people will want to come here as much as we want, as they can, and they will want to live here and work here and do everything they need to do here. The problem is that you want to be able to feed them. So we have all of these. We have a meal maker. Is it full? Yeah, it's still full at the moment, so we might have to increase that. We want to also give them something to watch. There we go. TV also improves morale. Very slowly, but it does. So if you have as many TVs as you can in your facility, that means that people are just happy. But our medic here is very unhappy. Maybe because he has nothing to do. So he's a free medic at the moment. We also don't have a lab yet, so he can't do anything yet. Usually when medics are... Yeah, I know, resources, great. Usually medics are either working in their in the sick bay, or they are and treating sick patients, or they are working in the lab making more medicine. Currently, he's doing neither, so he's very unhappy with that. There's nothing we can do about that yet. We don't have either a sick bay or somebody who needs treatment, so he's gonna have to suck it up for a while. Let's also power this up. Oh, okay. We need more water. Right now we are currently on negative water supply. That means that we are consuming more water than we are producing. That's not good. Let's build an additional water extractor here. And we're producing more energy than we are using, which is also great. Our biodome is currently... Yeah. That's not good. So this happens so now and then. The extractor will come against a little bit of a problem and won't be able to extract enough water to supply the colony. That's something that you can't... that will happen sometimes. Nothing you can do about that. It's fine. It'll pick up eventually. We'll turn back to normal again. But we are producing 2.5. In a good time, a good day, whatever, we'll be producing 2.7. So we are currently consuming more than we are producing. That's just not good. So we need to do something about that. So that's why we're building another extractor. If you want to mitigate the situation and put a bit of a buffer, then you should put on a water tank. But it doesn't really have much of a purpose besides just being a very pretty building with some water in it. Alright, we got another extractor. Now we need to hook it up to our infrastructure so it can start working. It'll start drawing power from our power collector, which is great. Alright, now we have enough water. 6.7, yeah, there you go. We have 3 times as much water as we need being produced. That's also great. Let's build this bed. Do we have anybody hurt yet? No, I don't think anybody's hurt. I think our medic needs to go take a nap. He is incredibly unhappy at the moment. So as you can see, this is Steve here. Steve Norton is watching TV, and his morale is going up because he's watching TV. Which is good. We want that. We want morale to stay as high as possible. See, how is our status is still very poor. It's because of our medic. He needs to go to bed, this grumpy old man. He doesn't do anything except just walk around being grumpy. And if he's grumpy, if there was one colonist who's grumpy, he's going to make everybody else grumpy. That's what I think. It's just facts. Grumpy people make other people grumpy. But oh, look at them. They're both going to bed now. Finally, the 2 grumpiest people in the colony are going to sleep. Steve here is hoarding the TV. You need to let other people watch TV too, Steve. All right, let's just see what he's looking at. He's looking at some news. 24 hours news. Yeah, it's the same screen image of the colony ship that brought us here. All right. Yes, a medical bed has been built. So now we can power this down. So as soon as we have anybody with a broken leg or a broken arm or even the sick, whatever, or malnutrition, we can open this up, set up the sick bay, and he will lie in the bed and then be able to treat it. Holy flippin', that was close. Okay, this, as you can see, this is quite a big meteorite. So that could have landed on one of our buildings, and we would have just basically had to restart the game. There would be no way we couldn't get out of that. So we don't need the landing pad yet, so let's power that down. Powering down will mean that it'll draw less power. That's good. That means that we can capture more power and store more power eventually. Oh, look, he's happier, but not happy totally. So our status went from very bad to poor again. And now we want everybody to be able to see. We have 5 beds, but we have 7 colonists, and as soon as we get more colonists, we're going to need more beds. So we want to eventually span out in this direction and get more buildings set up. So the next thing we want to build is a lab. So let's see. We don't need the spares yet, do we? They are still at excellent. Yeah, they're still very good. So we don't need that yet. There's nobody sick yet. Maybe we should build something else instead. So we have some other buildings. We have a bar. We have a control center. We can build the control center, but we don't have any guards yet. So that's not that'll be totally useless. So we could build a storage shed that will put all this material in the storage. So that might be worth it. So we want to put that somewhere where it can. This is the maximum size. I don't want to do that because that's going to use up all of our resources. That's not so great. But we do want to be able to store all of our food and all of our materials. So let's hook that up. Set that up already. The mine is working great. We might want to build a multi-dome soon. Now, all of our buildings currently are still at small or medium-sized. Eventually, we will start moving towards large. The larger the buildings are, the better. Means that they can house more things. We want to keep our storage plant or storage facility as close to possible to some of the very vital machines, items like, for instance, our processing plant and our sick bay. Because everything that we'll be producing, like spare parts and medical supplies, will be stored in our storage facility. They can't be thrown outside, and we need somewhere to put this stuff once it's produced. Otherwise, it will keep a slot. Like, for instance, here, it has a bioplastic slot that should be used for starch. It's currently being occupied by bioplastic, and we're not using the bioplastic because we're not building anything. So that slot will stay full. So then what happens is that they start piling up over here and blocking access and blocking facilities and stuff. So it'll start to pile up, and it will start to basically congeal or congest the biodome. We don't want that. So we want that to be as open as possible. Ooh. All right, we have a issue here with our power collector. It's definitely going down. We are consuming 29 and producing 16, while there's actually quite a strong bit of wind. So we don't want that. So we might want to build another wind turbine. So we want to put that right here. The problem with wind turbines is that there's no wind. They don't produce anything. And if there's no sun, the solar panels don't produce anything. So the solar panels don't work in night and in sandstorms, I think. It gets blocked. I think maybe it reduces in efficiency. That might also be the case. I'm not sure. But how's our... Yes! We've gone from poor to decent. That is excellent. That means that we should be able to attract some people to our colony. So maybe in the morning, as soon as we get more power, we should power up the landing pad and see if anybody wants to come and visit us, wants to live with us. But as you know, that we have a bit of an issue with sleeping capacity, so we might have to increase that. All right, there we go. We have a storage facilities built. So now we can actually start putting this material and storing it out here, up in there. So as you can see, they're currently just outside in the open, and that means they get damaged, and they will eventually degrade once they get to poor, and then they'll disappear. So we want to keep them in a good condition or an excellent condition, and that can only be done by keeping them in a storage facility like this one. So they're going to start moving all this stuff in there. So it's going to pile up real fast, and it's currently at 0%, but once it's completely full, it will end up being at 90%. Do we have anybody that's in need of help? No, I think everybody's fine. This is actually quite good. I have never seen anything, any videos and stuff, any of the online tutorials where they haven't had anybody get a broken leg or a broken arm in the very first few days of the colony as soon as the mine is set up. It's almost immediately somebody gets hurt. So we're doing good. We built a facility, a sick bay facility, that isn't necessarily needed at the moment. That's great. So we're producing 84 kilowatts, and we are consuming 31. That's great. That means that we are definitely not in need of more solar panels. So we want to try and keep the balance between solar panels and wind turbines equal. You don't want to have either too many solar panels or too many wind power turbines, because then you get dependent on either wind or solar, and you want a bit of a balance between both, because the wind just keeps on dropping. Sometimes you get a couple of days of really good wind, and then your power collectors will just fill up so fast. That's really great. So let's see, we need chairs. Let's put down, there we go. We have a sad person here. See, their morale goes down when they're doing anything on the ground, sleeping or sitting on the ground. That just basically just reduces the morale. They are very unhappy when that happens. They have to do that. So we want to keep them off the ground as much as possible. So we haven't used any spares yet. That's great. That means we don't have to build any more of that stuff. I want this material here, all these resources gone, so I can put another cabin over here, because this is basically a dead end. But we have some space here to put another cabin. As you can see, we have some space, but we can't put it down there because there's lots of stuff there. We want this stuff in here as soon as possible. All right, well, that is the first few days of our colony. And I hope you guys enjoyed this little episode. I'm going to build some more. I really like this game. This is a fun game to play. And it gives you, it definitely does provide you with a bit of a challenge. And the challenge will grow. And there'll be more challenges as we progress in the game. The beginning is difficult, but it will get easier over time. So let's see if we can get a nice little screenshot of the colony. Okay, it's that, and print screen. Excellent. So we got our thumbnail. That's going to be our thumbnail for the series. I want to thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys have a nice day, and I will see. I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.